today we're going to talk about the awful green things from outer space from TSR in 1980. It's an excellent, fun, light game. As always, I appreciate subscriptions if you want to be notified of future reviews I do. First of all, here's the box. It's a little bit unusual box because it's actually it's not like a bookcase game or anything. It's 11 by 19 inches or so. It's got fun art on it, consistent with the rest of the game. As far as theme, so actually around the edges, it kind of gives you the theme, and as you'll see, there's also like a cartoon inside. Somewhere out in space, an advanced civilization built its first starship. A multiracial crew was selected from each of the 5 planets, and they set out for worlds unknown. The intrepid crew of the exploration ship Solitaire traveled far and long, mapping and charting new worlds, collecting valuable data for future use. After years of disappointment, they finally encountered a world with semi-intelligent inhabitants. They took one along. What they didn't expect was that a group of uninvited visitors had somehow gotten aboard the Solitaire. Now he joined the crew in their moment of discovery as you face the awful green things from outer space. It's also unusual that it has it's not a fold map, it's a hard board mounted map and it's in one piece. You don't have to fold it. Art is, consistent and well done. So it's got everything you need. It shows a sequence of play. Over here you'll see there's different weapons that the crew pick up as they go along. And this is where you put basically the weapon chits and what effects they have. And this is the location of the weapons, and we'll talk about that. And this is the ship. There's bays for other ships where you can basically escape if you think you can't handle it there. And there's scenarios for what happens when you escape. Different rooms of the ship that show where various weapons are. Hallways, and these are doorways. You have bridges, machine shop, damage control, sick bay, after machine shop, galleys, mess deck, science lab, pool rooms, engine room, various quarters and cabins, wardrooms, life support, probe rooms, cargo holds, stores, sensors, quarters and hospital wards, and then fuel pods. So that's really, really well done. I really like having board mounted map like that. Obviously there's many more recent versions of this, and even back then too there was like a magazine version. I'm happy with this version. There's a rule book. The rest of this game has held up. The box is a little bit dinged, but all the other components are held up really nice in this, but the rule book is a little bit dinged up here, but it's got a cartoon and kind of walks you through the rules. Comes with the 5 dice. So there's some dice rolling going on. And it's got this plastic tray for your stuff, which is nice. And these are awful green things here. Nice 3 trays to put your various counters, weapons effects, crew and weapons, etc. And it's got this nice insert where you can put the rule book. So a little more detail here on the counters. So as with the rest of it, it's all consistent and light, and the art is enjoyable. And they're interesting in that, these are about 40 years old, and they've obviously held up very well. And they're only one-sided, but they have this cardboard that it's got a laminate on it, which is a little bit unusual, so it gives it some gloss, and it really has held up well. So those are unique. The different types of counters these are the awful green things. I just showed a couple of each because it seems like almost all of them, even though they show the same thing, they're unique artwork of them to show them different motion and different variations. So it's neat that even of the same type of thing, they have different art for the awful green things and also the players. So these are eggs, and on the awful green things and the players, there's 3 different pieces of data. There's the movement capability where these can move, and these would move to spaces in the ship, or areas in the ship. This is the number of dice they can use to attack, and this is their constitution value, where when an attacking player rolls their dice, and if they get a value of that or greater, they defeat that one. So these are eggs. They can't move, they can't attack. These are awful green thing babies, and they can move and attack some and have some constitution. These are adults, and they have 4 dice they can attack with. They can move 2, and they have a constitution of 16. Another neat aspect of this is you don't know what the weapons do until you first use them. The idea being that they're learning what affects these alpha green things, and these weapons will affect them in different ways. So it's kind of fun. There's shrink, affects how they, keeps back how they grow. Which obviously they grow. One die fragments. When you hit something, it can fragment, and this explains that. No effect. Affects how many dice of damage something does to kill it. How many dice again to kill it? 3, 4. To stun, which means they can't, grow or move. 5 dice to kill. So those are effects. And each of these weapons will have a different, and there's multiple of some of these. So these weapons will have some of these effects. Then weapons. There's a welding torch. Some of these are, close combat, and some are ranged. And some are some setup time, like defense. Welding torch, stun pistol, rocket fuel, gas grenade, communications beamer, hypodermic, pool stick, canister, Zorwitz, fire extinguisher, electric fence, knife, bottle of acid. And this is the crew, and they're all different images and different, again, attack dice, constitution, and movement abilities. And these are the attack dice for hand-to-hand combat. Once they pick up a weapon, then they can choose to use that effect instead of their hand-to-hand combat. There's Captain Yid, first officer, a couple pilots, coxswain, robot who moves slow, but he has a high constitution and high hit dice, so he's interesting. Sarge, which is tough, and he's got good attack dice. Couple Marines, Doc, communications officer, cook, engineering officer, engineer machinist, ops officer, technician, yeoman, Sparks, mascot, medic, and supply officer. So it's a lot of fun because they all have, as you develop, they have different personalities and etc. So. And they have different abilities as far as how far they can move, how good they can attack, and how much they can take. Monster grow means that of these 3 things. So an egg can grow to a baby, or a baby can grow to an adult, or an adult can lay an egg. Or also a fragment can grow into a baby. These are the 4 different types. It's the egg, the fragment, the baby, the adult. And then when they grow, you only choose one type and grow that type. So you choose all the babies or all the adults, etc., and grow that whole, all the ones that like that, not the other ones. The different rooms show what kind of weapons are there. If a player is in a room that has a weapon type, he can choose to take that weapon. And they can only have one weapon, so if they have another one, they have to drop it. So the interesting thing about weapons, so there's these different types, and you don't know what they do until you try them. The first time you try them, you'd randomly choose one, and then you know what it is. So, for instance, if you found this is what you got, you'd set this over here, and now you know that that weapon is 4 days to kill. Then how to win. So the victor of the game is determined by 1 or 2 methods. One is play and decide someone can win and they quit, or the other is to use victory points. If the alpha green thing takes over Zuntar, the monster Scores 111. If the crew successfully fights them off, they score victory points equal to the total constitution value of all surviving crew. One side, defeats, the other. So another option is, are they being killed? The crew can all go to these vehicles and try to escape. And so the scout can carry 2, the saucer can carry 4, and the cockpit can carry as many as they want. So they move into the appropriate boat bay, climb aboard the boat, and leave during their attack phase. And then no monsters. The monsters in the boat can be ignored. Once the crew leaves, they can see 111 victory points to the monsters, and they see what happens. And then this next thing is what happens if they get in the escape boats. And then there's several steps. They can choose several options, and then you go on and you see how many of your crew survive. Then we'll get into setup and play. Okay, so I'll do the setup here. First of all, I put the weapons over where they've shown on the board. Another option is you can just put the weapons where they're stated in the areas, but it's pretty convenient. Just put them on the edge of the board here. Then you set the crew starting location, and that's stated in the setup here. For each of the different crew characters, there's different options. Some have more options than others. So Captain Yid can be in either bridge. I chose to put him there. First officer can be in either bridge. I put him there. Communications officer can be either bridge or the computer room, and I put him in the computer room. Operations officer and life support center officers' quarters. Put him in officers' quarters. Engineering officer, engine room or pool room. Put him in the engine room. Supply officer in the ship store or ward room. Put him in the ship store. I'm just kind of spreading them out here. Dock and sick bay or the pool room. Put him in the sick bay. Sparks in either bridge. Put him in the first bridge. And of course, each room there's some logic as to what's in there. So, for instance, you'd find pool sticks in the pool room. Marines in pool room or sick bay. One is in sick bay, and one is in the pool room. Marine sergeant in pool room or mess deck. Sergeant, I put him in the pool room. Cook, galley or ward room. Put him in the galley. Yeoman either bridge. Put him in the second bridge. Medic sick bay or hospital ward. Put him in sick bay. Technician, any sensor, I put him up here at sensor 1. Engineer, engine room, either machine shop. Put him in the machine shop. Machinist, pool room, either machine shop. I put him in the machine shop. Coxswain, mess deck or sick bay. Mess deck. 2 pilots in crew quarters or pool room. Put one in the pool room and one in the crew's quarters. Robot, either machine shop. I put him in the other machine shop. Mascot, captain's cabin. That's where I chose to set up the crew, and it's kind of neat because it gives you some options, so you have different variability of setup. And then for the monster population, then they have a couple tables. One is to figure out what the initial population is. So you roll 6-sided dice. 3. That means I get 5 eggs, 4 babies, and 3 adults. Okay, so I'll just set them here. And then you roll for the initial placement on this chart here. 3. The first one goes in the scout bay, which is right here. And then they have to be, you can only have 1 per spot, and then they have to be in consecutive locations. So you can be a little bit protected, I guess. Put another one there. I'll put going up here. I don't want any red around the robot because he's pretty powerful. Okay, so that's where I'll start out, and then you do the discovery phase where 2 of the crew move up to their maximum movement and they can fight 1. Captain, and he has a chance of defeating that one, and then the machinist has a chance of defeating this one. So he has 2 dice. 2. He needed a 5, so he failed. And Captain Yid, he's got 3 dice. 9. And unfortunately he failed as well. So that's the end of the setup, and then we'll get into play. Show how it plays out. So here's the sequence. First of all, the monster grows. To do that, first you need to decide which, and then the move. These guys will be hanging up on him. Want to see where I can have a couple different ones attack at the same time. The babies only move once, so you're limited. I'll kind of group them together so that when they attack next, you can go in here. That's good. So these guys kind of group together, and these 3 will go in here, and go out here. So that's all the moves. And then the attacks. So these guys are all going to combine their attacks. So that means they have a total of 6 attack dice. So they have a total of 6. So 5, 7, 8, 10, 14, and then 1 more. Okay, so 16. So they defeat him. So in my setup too, I just keep the monster. You can keep in the trays, but I'm just keeping the monsters here ready to go, and these are the weapons effects kits that I have ready to go. So that's that one. The only other attack I have is here. Let's figure out what we want to do here. So there's they can combine or not. Let's see. He's going to go he's going to attack the dock. So he's got 4 attack dice. 7, 11, 12. He gets rid of dock. So you have to keep track of which ones are going. He'll attack the medic. He's got 4 attack dice. Oh, he didn't do it. Only 6. So I probably should have grouped attacks. But he'll attack the medic as well. 10, 12, 13. So he's able to get the medic. So that's good for them. So that's that's the monster player's turn. So now it's the crew's turn. And their sequence is grab weapons, move attack. So I'll kind of work left to right so we can keep track of what's going on. So the technician will grab a comm beamer, which can be a good thing because it can affect multiple monsters or green things. The mascot is unique in that he can't pick up weapons because he doesn't have arms. Sparks is on the bridge and he'll pick up a stun pistol. It says to put him under them, but I think it's probably more useful to put him on top. Cook will grab a knife. They can be thrown or held intact. Coxswain will grab a can of Zorowitz. So there's only 1 stun pistol left, and all of the yeomen take that because the first officer has more hand combat strength. There's 2 pool sticks, and there's 3 people in the pool room. So I'll have the pilot and Marine take those because Sarge has more combat strength. The robot will grab a welding torch. Marine will grab a syringe, or a hypodermic, sorry. And the engineer will grab a welding torch. Okay. And then move. So now that several have weapons, they'll be finding out what they do. It's a little bit risky for him to go in here, but he wants to see what this weapon does. So he's going to go in here. We'll see if anybody can join him in here. He could make it, but he doesn't have much. I guess he could help out, so he can move 3. He'll go in here too. He can go 4, so that's good. He'll go up here and try to deal with these guys. It gets a little bit crowded in there. He'll go up here. Pilot can go 3, so he'll make his way down here. The next time he can grab. There's no more welding torches, so he can't grab that, but he'll go here to help him out. Cook will go here. He'll go here to help the Marine out. I guess he'll go here to help these guys out. Here. These guys will go here as well as stacking going on here. And there's unlimited stacking, so he'll go here. He can only move 1, so he'll go there. He'll go here. Okay. So that's the move. And then the attack. So we'll find out what this does. So the engineer is he'll be attacking this one. So to see what it does, you grab a chit, and unfortunately it has no effect. So that's no good. That's the end of his turn. So it's not looking good for them. He doesn't have any chance of attacking anything, so just for sakes I'll roll that, but he can't get a 12 with that. So we'll work on that bottom up here. And then the effects are in there, but there's also different aspects of, if they're ranged or close weapons. So the comm beamer, for instance, it affects all monsters in the area. Let's see if it affects the crew as well. It doesn't affect the crew, so he'll see what that does. Hopefully it's a good one. That's a really bad one. 1 die fragments, so all of a sudden there's going to be a ton of fragments because it affects, that's like the worst possible one he could have got, because now each of these are going to fragment. So in fragments, the dice rolled, and that's the number of monsters placed on the board. So that's could be potentially 18 fragments, because all of these, it applies to each of these. 5, 9, 11. So these are gone, but all of a sudden there's 11 fragments. So it's something. And usually when you have multiple weapons, this sequence you do them in is stated on the multiple, using several weapons, but we don't know what they do yet. So that's a lot of fragments. It's not a good outcome. And then all these can grow into babies next turn, which I'm pretty sure that's what the monster will want to do. Being the monster. Well, that was not ideal. So now the cook will try a knife and at least try to get one of the fragments, and let's see what that does. No effect. It's really not looking good. I'll just have them drop that next turn because it doesn't have any value. So that's really bad news. So let me see if the stun pistol can be used. Some weapons can be used for ranged weapons. Let me see if the stun pistol is out. So when you fire in any weapon that in here that can be seen, and so they can fire it in there. But I believe it's only against one. It only affects one monster per turn. Let's see what it does. Interestingly enough, it coincidentally is 5 dice to stun. It could have been a 1 to kill, but it actually has 1 to stun, which is coincidence. So if you do a stun, you have 5 dice. He's going to go to a fragment here, and if you get screwed in 8, which he does, that means this one can't grow next turn. It couldn't move or attack either, but they can't move or fragments can't move or attack anyway. Alright, so what's that? That's all that there. Let's see what the Horowitz does. Again, referring this here. It's repeatable. Affects only one monster per turn. It must be thrown. It must be thrown in the same area, or it can be thrown in the same area or adjacent area. So we'll do that. See what happens. 4 dice to kill, so that's good. So he rolls 4 dice. $18, and he kills it. So the Marine has a hypodermic. He's going to try that. 1 die fragments. That's another bad thing. And so some of these weapons can be picked up anywhere, and they're not stayed on the board. Like fire extinguisher, electric fence, they can be picked up anywhere. Since it's still my turn, but since they're not attacking anyway, I'm just gonna say that it's a little bit imperfect, but I'm gonna say that he picked that up. Electric fences basically just keep monsters from, they make them stop. Well, they make them stop, but then they can also have an effect as well, of course. And none of them are in attacks anyway, so that's good. And then, so now there's a big attack coming here. Stun pistol. So we know the stun pistol is 5 dice to kill, so that's good. He'll, again, these are all in this area. I'm just, for attack purposes, I'm just sitting in there. So he can roll 5 dice. And the question is if he wants to go over that one or that one, but the average, like around, between 15 and 20 is the average. But I don't want to take it. I guess he'll go after him. And unfortunately he fails. So that was bad. Now let's see what the pool sticks do. This is really not looking good. 1 die fragment. He's using his, but he's not going to use his now that he knows what it does. There's 5 fragments. It's really looking not super great. And when you run out of counters, then you don't use any more. You just have what is with the game here. Since he's not going to be using his pool stick, he's going to do a fist attack on this one. He's got 2 dice. 8, so he does get rid of one of them. And that's the attacks. That's the conclusion of that turn. And it really isn't looking super great for our heroes. That's Awful Green Things from Outer Space from TSR. I believe it initially came out in 1979, but the version I have is from 1980. It initially came out in, I understand, like a magazine kind of fold-out game, but I'm very happy with this one. It's like I said, many versions since, and still it's a much more modern version of this game out there as well. Components are great, even for the present day. It's got this nice kind of laminate on it, everything. And these are 4 years old and they just look like brand new. The box art is great. It's very consistent with the theme. Just kind of light and fun. Plays pretty quickly. It's definitely easier to beat the green things than it is the crew. It's pretty difficult for the crew, but that's okay. It makes it more of a challenge, and you can try to get to your escape ship. It's really great for what it tries to accomplish. It's fun. Like I said, components are great. The art is great. The theme is great. The map. It's really a neat game. I'd give it a 9 out of 10. Awful Green Things from Outer Space from TSR, 1980. Thanks a lot.